You're listening to the Estheticians and More podcast with Brittany Hageman, episode number 228. Happy Monday, and welcome back. I'm really excited to talk to you today about where to focus your energy in your business. This is general advice for estheticians. Obviously, every business is going to have different things that you really need to focus on at whatever stage you're at to grow your business and to make more money. But this is something I find consistently, no matter if you are a brand new business owner or if you're one of my clients that's making $10K a month and you want to be making $20K a month in your business, or you're making $20K a month and you want to make $30K a month in your business or whatever. This is a pretty similar thing across the board. And it really has a lot to do with mindset and the lens at which you are looking at your business. So something that I really work with my clients on, and I have spent a lot of time over the years working on for myself, is really being crystal clear on where you want to go in your business. Now, you don't always know exactly how you're going to get there, and that is okay, because you may find that the road you thought it was going to take to get there is not the road it actually ends up being. And I think that can be a very concerning thing for a lot of estheticians and I felt the same way too. It's like, I want this goal and I want it to be straight ahead for me to do. So there's a few things in here. You need to have a very specific goal of where you're working towards, and different steps you're going to take to achieve that goal. Ideas, strategies, brainstorming. Again, it's not going to be black and white. It's not going to be super evident what is the best strategies to get there. I mean, this could be hiring, this can be online sales, or whatever it is. If you're thinking about something, I'm going to use the example of hiring since I don't teach people hiring. But so let's say you have a goal of you want to bring on an employee in the next 3 months. So that is the goal. And you don't know how many applications you're going to have to get to find the person. You don't know the person's skill set. They may come in with a really great personality and be a brand new esthetician, or they may be like a really experienced esthetician. You don't know that, when you're starting that process. You don't know what it's going to look like at the end. You don't know where exactly you're going to find them. You don't know if you're going to find them from a social media post or a LinkedIn post or an Indeed post or a Craigslist post or wherever it is that you may be posting your job. You don't know how long it's going to take them to master certain skills. They may master a skill much faster than you expected, and then another skill, they are having a lot harder time with it than you expected as well. So the goal is you're hiring someone, but the in-between, we aren't sure. We have a plan, right? We're going to have a job application. We're going to post to these different places, but we're going to continue to do two things consistently to get that goal of hiring. One of the things consistently is you're going to pivot and make changes as new information becomes available. And I know this is going to sound really bizarre, but if you're in a business that's not hiring, it's hard to remember that's the same. It's it's if you're trying to get more clients, this is the same. If you're trying to do more online sales, this is the same. If you're trying to sell a higher end services or products, this is the same. And that is, you try something again, and then you evaluate that something. And it doesn't have to be you sit down and it's a formal evaluation, but even in your brain it has evaluated that didn't work, that didn't feel good, that felt good, that was kind of weird. There's that evaluation of what you're doing as you go. And then you may pivot and move things, change things around as you go. So maybe you posted your job on Craigslist and then you just got a bunch of crazy people. So you're like, I'm taking that down. That's not working, right? Maybe you posted it on Indeed.com and you got so many and you're like, wow, this is definitely the place for me, right? So that is the evaluation and the making decisions beyond that. Where estheticians get stuck and where they lose their focus is You post it on Craigslist, you get a bunch of crazy responses, and you think that means something about you. You personalize that experience. You're like, wow, this is what it would sound like. Wow, I'm so stupid that I put it on Craigslist. Like, I should have known better. That was such a waste of my time. It was such a waste of money. That was such a waste. Like, why would these people apply? It was so weird that they would apply. Like, you're spending a lot of time and energy about something that didn't work, as opposed to realizing like it didn't work. So it's the same thing as if you're trying to sell more online and you're doing certain strategies and you're like, nothing's coming of it, or weird things are coming of it, or results that you aren't expecting and that you're not really interested in coming of it. And as opposed to being like, okay, that's not a good strategy for me, or that strategy is not working the way I wanted it to work. Maybe I have to change this one part of the strategy and see if it's going to make any difference. You personalize it and you shut down. And you're like, I'm not good at this. I'm bad. I'm never going to boost my online sales. I'm never going to be able to hire. But I had to guess, if you were hiring, if you had one place of applications and it didn't, it wasn't a good application pool, you would just find another application pool. You probably wouldn't make it mean a lot of bad things about you. You wouldn't lose focus of the goal of hiring. You wouldn't be like, wow, I got these rando people that aren't even estheticians applying for my job from Craigslist, so I must be going to be a terrible boss. I shouldn't hire, right? Like, you wouldn't jump from one to the other. And you also wouldn't say it's impossible to find someone. You would just try to find another way of finding applicants, right? And I think this is where, in goal setting, that I see a lot of estheticians struggle, and they really believe what their brain is telling them in that moment. And their brain is almost always wrong. Their brain is not making an evaluation of what really happened. Their brain is only paying attention to how it makes them feel, and they make that be the deciding factor of the next step or not step of just staying where you were. And I'm not saying this from being critical, because I am an emotional person and I have struggled with this very, very much, and I've gotten a lot better about it. It's with age and with lots of practice. 30-year-old Brittany, 20-year-old Brittany. 20-year-old Brittany was not good at this. 30-year-old Brittany was better at this. And now in my 40s, I definitely am better. I expect my 50s and 60s, I'll be even better at it. So I want to just remind you, this is not criticism, but it is a mirror that I'm holding up in front of you. That if you are focusing on how these things that are happening daily in your business make you feel, as opposed to the goal that you are trying to achieve, you are focusing in the wrong place. And that's not to say that you don't process those feelings of disappointment. Yeah, like if you spent money on a Craigslist ad to hire someone and you got a bunch of randos, like, man, shoot, that was X amount of dollars gone. You're sad about it. You're frustrated. You go on with your day. You don't talk to all of your friends about it. Like, oh my gosh, I spent $30 and I got, maybe you tell a friend or two as, kind of an entertaining story, but there's no drama about it, right? There's no panic. There's no personalization. There's no big emotional response. Okay. And if there's a big emotional response to spending $30 and not getting applications, and you really need to be honest with yourself, is what is happening with you. Because that isn't a business response. That is a human being response, which is fine if it was a personal thing happening. But it's nothing about that is personal, right? It just wasn't the right one. It wasn't the right way to find people. And you didn't know that until you knew it. And and then that's where also like estheticians get stuck, and I've gotten stuck too. It's like, well, I should have known that. And it's like them like shaming yourself for not knowing what you didn't know. But how would you have known? And how would any have known? Sometimes there are things I'll tell clients like that is, I can tell you right now, I've been there, or I've had clients being there. No, thank you. Please don't do that. That's not a good idea. But most of the time, it's like we don't know yet until we find out. There is a huge amount of trial and error in business. There's a huge amount of scientific method going on, right? So here we are, our goal, we want to hire. Went to Craigslist, that didn't work. We're going to Indeed. Great, we got some great applicants. Then you go to do phone interviews and only one person shows up. Again, it is frustrating. These are the daily frustrations of owning a business. And it's never going to go away. The more money you make, does not mean it's going to go away, because there are new frustrations. There are new struggles. Like, it is being a business owner. If you want to go to work and have just no frustrations, you need to just work as an esthetician. Because you're still going to have frustrations, but you get to clock out and get the hell out of there and go home and do whatever you want, right? You don't have to go home and think about what's going on with your business, right? So only one person shows up, and that person was lackluster. So not a person you want to move forward with. So now you figure out something else. Are you going to give up on the goal of hiring someone? Let's say, you are having a massive wait list. The demand is way higher than you can provide. You're leaving money on the table by not having another person working for you. This is a need, business need. You're like, okay, never mind, I'm not hiring. This is too much. This is too hard. No, you may feel that for a moment or two. Like, oh, I hate this so much, Sure, yes, very valid. But you don't lose focus of the goal. And you don't make it bad about yourself. Like, wow, why did I get such, how did these people not show up? Or, and again, like, if they didn't show up because there was a communication error, great information, fix that, move on. But if they just didn't show up because they were flakes, great and good information that you got now, right? So again, you're not focusing on your feelings in the situation. And I'm saying this with so much love. Because I understand. And I've coached so many estheticians over the years. And I know how our brains work, right? Like, of course your feelings are going to come up. But you get to decide to lead with that or lead with the actual facts of what's happening and information in front of you. Okay, so we're keeping this example. Okay, so that was just another dud. Okay, so now you have to be like, how am I gonna hire someone? So now you put posters up at a local aesthetic school, or you go talk to the professors there, or you go to local Facebook groups and post it in there, right? So like, you aren't just saying, oh, well, it's not going to work. You keep finding ways to find applicants. Maybe even you work with my friend Amanda who does this, right? You're like, I need help. I need someone to teach me some of these things. But again, you are moving forward in the goal. The focus has not changed. Where estheticians get in trouble with their goal execution is obstacles come up or things that happen that they didn't expect or didn't want. They internalize it and they stop. Or they externalize it and it's like, there's no good candidates. This is never going to work. I'm never going to find someone. That's not realistic or true. Or my business is never going to grow. This area is totally saturated. I'm never going to, find clients. So, right? Like, there's different ways you can keep looking at this. Or, I'm never going to make any online sales because there's so many people selling things online right now. Of course there are. Yes, these are all true things. Of course, there are people everywhere. Like you can always find truth in these thoughts because there's truth to it. But there's also truth to, you can find someone in your area. There's lots of people, even if you live in a small area, there is a good chance you could find someone. Like, I find it very hard to believe that's completely impossible. So that is what I mean by not losing the focus. And the skill of evaluating what actually happened. What actually happened is you had 5 people schedule phone interviews and 1 showed up. Is there a system error? Did the messages not go through? Did they not confirm? Was there possibly a communication error? It's important to look at. Yeah, okay. You did. No, everyone got the information. They just didn't show up. Okay, great. Now we know. We're not going to spend time more than a few minutes in frustration of that spot. It's really easy to wallow. And again, if you have like one setback after another, you may need a good wallow, like a good 15-minute, or, it's the end of your day and you're just done and you just spend the rest of your night just being like, ugh. But the next morning, you got to put on your pants again or your skirt, whatever you're wearing, your shoes, and get back to work. Of course, if you have mental health issues, you need to see a mental health professional. So like, of course, like if you're in depression, things like that, that's not the same thing as what's happening right now. But if you're mentally doing okay, get back on the horse, get going. That is the required skill to accomplish your goals. It is not a problem that it does not work the way you expected it to work. It is actually what I expect. Like, if I think about my skincare business, so far it's been pretty smooth. I haven't had any really big problems. But there have been things that have happened. I'm like, that's not working. Or that was a mistake. Like I have sample kits and I have an ingredient list printed and I had to get a custom made insert because of the size of the bag. It's not just like a general size, like 4x6 or something. And it's definitely pricey. And I got them printed and then I realized there was a major typo. So it's like money, and now I have to order more. But down the drain, it's like I could spend a lot of time beating myself up, even though my husband and I both proofread it, but me proofreading means nothing. Me proofreading is I'm not the person to proofread for you. And my husband proofread it, and so now I'm like, okay, so now I have someone who edits things for me, who's like an editor. And that there could still be mistakes that could get through because we are all people. And it was like, shoot. Ugh. But I am not letting that stop me. I'm not making it mean anything about me. I'm not making like, well, I guess this whole skincare line is not going to work. And it's so interesting because this is my 3rd business and it is growing the rate I expected, which is not very fast. And the old me would have been like 10 years ago, me would have been so discouraged and would have been so frustrated and so sad. And I definitely get frustrated sometimes because TikToks have taken me a while to figure out. For the just purely online space, selling the products is like a different than my online coaching. So it's a different way, and I don't have like a physical space that people can come, so like there's some parts of it that I didn't have experience teaching or seeing with other people. So I had to figure a lot of things out and spend a lot of time tweaking things and trying this and then seeing what happens, trying what happens. And of course there's moments of frustration and discouragement and like, oh God, okay. But it's going the exact way I expected it to go, which is little ups and downs, things that make sense and work and do well and things that don't. And none of it is a problem. None of it's an actual problem. If your focus is you don't want to have ups and downs in your business and you don't want to feel frustrated or annoyed or whatever, that is an unrealistic expectation and focus to have in your business. You're not going to achieve it. It's not a business ownership. It does not work with that. And again, not to say you have to have like crash outs every day. I almost never have a crash out in my business. It's been a really long time. I don't expect everything to go the way that I expect it to go, right? Instead, I focus on my goal, which in this example is your hiring. and you continue to learn new information. So if you want to hire again, you'll be better at it. You'll know your market, you'll know your area better. And you continuously chip away to get at that goal. Maybe you wanted to hire someone in 3 months and it ends up taking 9. But in 9 months, you find someone who's fantastic and such a great fit for you and your team and your clients versus maybe the person you could have hired at month 1 who's kind of a dud. Or maybe you hired someone and then really quickly you learned it's not going to work out and you have to let them go. And, these are all parts of it. This is the same thing if you're building a brand new business. This is the same thing if you're trying to double your business that you're making, 9, 10 grand a month consistently and you want to make a lot more. This is the same thing as if you want to elevate things in your business that you hadn't done before and promote things that you hadn't done before. It's like when my clients that are really trying to work on retail and I'm like, I give them strategies to talk to different clients about retail and they're like, oh, no one bought anything today. Okay. I'm always like, okay, yes. And where's the problem? That's not the problem. The problem is you not presenting it. And the problem is you making them not buying it a problem. Of course, people aren't going to buy. Of course, it's not a problem. That's how it always goes. I can talk about, I think, this now because it's been long enough. But when I first started doing what my current structure for this business is, which was like about 3 years ago now. And I went from you could just sign up to work with me without talking to me to you had to go through a discovery call because I was having some problems with people misunderstanding what I was doing and they would purchase it and then they'd be like, this is not what I thought it. And I had to give them a reach. It was a whole thing. So I started doing discovery calls. And I got a lot of discovery calls in the books. Like I want to say January 2024 is if I remember correctly. I started getting a lot of discovery calls in my books. I was super excited. And I swear to you, over half of them did not show up. I got no-showed. I've gotten no-showed in discovery calls way more than I ever did in the treatment room. And being the experienced business owner I am, I remember thinking, I just want to lay on the ground and crash out and cry every time it happened and be so angry. And then I said, what I'm going to do is have work that I'm working on so that if they miss the call, I can just keep working and not stop. So I did that and that really helped because then I just was like, whatever. And I just kept going. And then I thought of different strategies to try to ensure people would show up. And honestly, the big thing was like them just acknowledging on the questionnaire that they were going to show up to the call. I've changed it again since, and I almost never get no shows now, which is great. But my brain really wanted to make it a problem. Like people don't want to talk to you, people don't respect you. And I remember at the time thinking like, I know this is my brain's trying to protect me because it doesn't want me to have not people showing up, but people are going to do what they're going to do and can try to change things to make people be more committed. But ultimately I just have to be able to push through and not be derailed from someone not showing up. So I would have a podcast ready to record. I'd have posts that I needed to work on. I'd have blog, whatever, different things I had to work on. So I'd be sitting there on the call and they didn't show up. I'd just start working back on what I was doing before. And it just didn't bother me anymore. It doesn't bother me if someone doesn't show up. I'm just like, whatever. I don't care. Because it's kind of part of it. And like I said before, it doesn't happen almost ever. I don't think in this last year I had even one person no show, which is a huge change from 2 years ago. But yeah, I had to again look at the process, evaluate if there were areas that I could improve the process, and keep on keeping on and keeping the focus on the goal, which was to get discovery calls so I could tell people about my coaching program and see if they were a good fit for it. And here we are 2 years later, and it's just such a smoother process. It's 10 times. And I knew it would get to this point where it'd be so smooth, so easy. People sign up for the discovery calls. The calls are very easy for me to understand if they're a good fit for me. It's it's just very, very easy for me. And 2 years ago, it was very, very stressful for me. But I remember the time feeling this is really stressful because I'm still figuring it out. So maybe you can take that with you. Here's the goal. This is the focus. Things are happening. And you can tell yourself it's just stressful because you're just trying to figure it out, but you don't have to live and wallow in the stress. Okay, that's it for today. I have so many guests coming up on the pod. Just because there's so many people that I want to talk to that I finally been able to get on my books. So it may be a couple guests before I have a single episode again. But I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and I will talk to you soon. Bye for now.